Glad you're with us. This is the Retirement Education Hour. Hi, everyone. Great show for you today. We're going to talk taxes in retirement. So much to know here, and really important topic as you think about your spending power in retirement. The good news is I'm back in the studio with two people who know a lot about this topic, financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. They're both with the Retirement Education Foundation, and the foundation, its focus is on you, helping you become educated about all things retirement planning, and they make it easy. We're going to tell you about the foundation's courses on retirement planning that go really deep into these topics. They're held at major colleges and universities, almost like a master's level course. We'll be telling you how you can get registered, and we are going to spend some time on this topic today, making sure that you walk away from our program feeling a lot more confident. That's what it's all about. So as we dive into this today, I do want you to keep the website handy. It's retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. And you can always call for more information throughout our program, 800-240-8981. Kirk, Paul, great to be back with you. The big news, the big headline here, if you don't know it yet, you better find out. Retirement. You're going to be taxed differently during your retirement than you are currently. Are people ready for that?
Taxes, taxes, taxes. Paul, Megan, this is, it's interesting. I'm a little hesitant. I was a little hesitant about doing this show for probably all of our listeners. The 50th time, anywhere they turn, they're getting people in the financial service industry talking about taxes in retirement. It is the hot button. It's what people are using to sell their services. It was 5 years ago. No one would provide any sort of tax advice, suggestions, or ideas. They would avoid it. The expression used to be, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. That's what they used to say. Now everybody wants to lean in. The next 10 callers get a free tax analysis or tax glide path or all this marketing mumbo jumbo. And it's really forced the charity to reposition how we talk about taxes, because now that everyone is talking about it and promoting it, now people have to understand how to optimize and utilize it properly. Because I think a lot of people in our industry simply use it and they have little software tools without any CPAs, without any real long-term tax planning. They're not really implementing full tax planning throughout a 30-year retirement. So I thought we could talk about taxes, how it impacts people's retirement, but also dig into the mechanics of what someone should be doing when doing tax analysis for retirement, tax planning, a future tax planning. How do I know what to spend, from where, at what age, to minimize my taxes over my lifetime, and especially over when my first spouse dies, because that's a big tax trap. So I want to give them the tools, Paul. I want to give them the ideas and the tools so that they don't get taken advantage of the industry as a whole using this as a tool to market.
Yeah, I'm hoping we actually have some time, if possible, to help the listeners differentiate the messaging they're getting, because there's a lot of buzzwords out there, right? People get hooked on buzzwords right now. Tax is a buzzword, but most consumers, won't know when they're sitting down with somebody whether the person they're sitting with is really doing tax planning or selling a cool idea. And I think it would be helpful if we have time today to help listeners to know when they're sitting with somebody, are they sitting with somebody who's really going to help them lower their taxes in retirement and help them have more money in the future, or is it just a buzzword? I hope we have time to do that.
A sales tactic.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
And so they can tell you just about anything. And the problem is the average retiree isn't going to really fully understand, have they iterated or ran enough scenarios to optimize, or is it just a quick fill the bracket? I mean, I'm literally seeing people selling annuities to pay tax bills for their Roth conversions. It's crazy. So this is what we teach in the classes, and that's why the classes are 8 hours and help you better understand if you are getting true, comprehensive, individualized planning. So go to retirementplanningedu.org, register at retirementplanningedu.org.
So here's the thing, Kirk, that I think most people, maybe I mean, most people don't understand here is that the government gives us this great gift while we're working, right? We can put money in 401ks and tax deferral, and we don't have to pay taxes while we're working. But at some point, the government wants their money back, right? And at some point, all those distributions that you're going to be forced to take are taxable. And I don't think people really appreciate the issue they're going to have down the road. So, it's an important topic. Granted, everyone's talking about it. We're going to really talk about what people need to understand and what kinds of things people need to do.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people, some of the things you're going to hear is tax on sale. It's true. For that 1 to 10 million, $1 to $20 million families, many of your taxes actually go up once you retire, especially once you get into your 70s. They don't go down. You're going to learn, many of you will be taught by default using the software and the planning tools that most people in the industry provide and most of the calculators online provide. There are default rules around when you should take income from which accounts that aren't accurate. They're not going to optimize to your income or minimize your taxes. So that's what we're going to focus on. Look, at this 8-hour course taught over 2 evenings and 2 evenings or one full Saturday, we are going to teach you how to choose an advisor, how to do a background check, how to know if they are truly doing comprehensive planning. I mean, one test is, do they have a CPA on staff that's helping when they're doing iterating to figure out how to pay the least amount of taxes? This taxes is complicated. It's nuanced. A software program spitting out outcomes of conventional wisdom isn't going to be the answer. And what you're going to learn, many of you, is by the time you're in your mid to late 70s, you will have deferred taking money out of your retirement accounts for so long, and you $1 to $10 million, you will have millions of dollars in IRAs and 401ks. And the forced taxable distributions you're going to have to take out are massive. And this is all avoidable through proper planning, proper education. So attend one of our 8-hour, almost master's level courses taught at major universities and colleges in your area. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll be back with Kirk and Paul right after this.
Get registered for one of the Retirement Foundation's 8-hour courses today by calling 800-240-8981 or visit retirementplanningedu.org.
And we're back. We're glad you're with us here for the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak alongside Kirk Cassidy, Dr. Paul Metler, both with the Retirement Education Foundation. We've been telling you about the Foundation's courses on retirement planning. We'd love to see you there. See you in the front row. And it's possible you can get registered, reserve your spot because they do fill up quickly. Do that by going to the website retirementplanningedu.org. Here's that web address again. It's retirementplanningedu.org. Or you can call 800-240-8981. Now, these courses, they're like master's level courses. They're taught at major colleges and universities near you. Those locations include the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, also the University of Missouri and Columbia College on that list. So take a look, go to the website, retirementplanningedu.org. We're talking taxes today, taxes and retirement. Boy, there's a lot to know. I want to talk to you, Kirk and Paul, about Roth conversions. I understand there's a window here, right?
There is. This is what everyone's talking about, right? And so you as a consumer, I know, particularly you $1 to $10 million families, you're smart, you've saved well, you've made a lot of good decisions. When you come to the class, you'll recognize, honestly, how much more you could have had, but that's okay. You've made a lot of good decisions. You're way ahead of the average baby boomer. I think people are always surprised to hear that the average baby boomer has about $250,000 saved. And I also think people are often surprised that almost 40% of baby boomers only have Social Security to live on. This is a data point we constantly talk about because, unfortunately, most of the people you are taking your advice from is focusing on strategies based upon the average retiree. And so one of these areas that a lot of people are talking about, because it's giving them access to higher net worth clients, is taxes and Roth conversions. And Roth converting is really nuanced. It isn't just filling a bracket. You do not need, nor do you want to Roth convert all of your money. There is a optimal amount of Roth conversions at an optimal time to be doing it. And the challenge for the consumer is a lot of you are a little overconfident about your abilities to be able to listen to somebody and know if they're giving you the best outcomes. But I can tell you, anyone that says that we will do a Roth conversion glide path, or the next 10 callers gets a free roadmap, or any of that nonsense, if you cannot efficiently optimize for planning and Roth converting for hundreds and hundreds of people a year, it takes, and we teach you in the class, it'll take a CFP, a CPA, a wealth manager, an attorney. It'll take them 50 to 70 hours to run scenarios and iterate to find the most optimal timing on your Roth converting and income planning. It is very comprehensive. And the average person doesn't know if the people that claim they're providing these services do it or don't. Really, at the core, Paul, that is the point of the charity. It is the filter to not get taken advantage of. That is what our charity has been doing for over a decade. We have had around 100,000 people that have either attended classes or consuming our content. Please listen. It is true, Paul. Roth conversion, there's this window of time. There's this runway, as we call it, between retirement, and for some of you, it'll be 72. Some of you, it'll be 73. Some of you will be 75. There is this runway of time, and you want to do it as slow and as methodical as possible to minimize your taxes. But the only way to do that, you have to sample every possible, if I Roth convert at 65 and take Social Security. It's a Social Security, by the way. Social Security is a major calculation in Roth conversion. So is your RMDs, so is dividends and capital gains. It is not in a vacuum or in isolation as these insurance salespeople are pretending, who buy a software system to run these free analysis. This is why you need to attend the class.
You know, I wanted to highlight a point you just made. I think it was 2 classes ago, someone came up to me and said that their advisor was, telling them that they're going to Roth convert all this money, a lot of money, so that one day they'll have no traditional IRA money, right? And I think they were, I don't know, in their mid to late 60s. And oh, by the way, their advisor also advised them, both of them, to take their Social Securities at 67 years old. They both had worked had maximized their Social Securities. Why is that a problem, Kirk? What's the issue there?
Well, you don't need to Roth convert all of your money. Ever. In fact, in the class, we'll teach you where there's pockets where you can take money out of your IRAs in the form of required minimum distributions, or in the form of just taking IRAs to spend, to live on. And when I say IRAs, I'm also referring to 401ks and 403bs, all of them. Or taking it to Roth convert, and you won't pay any taxes. So there isn't a need to Roth convert all of the money. The goal is to pay the least amount of taxes over a 30-year retirement. Now, it's nuanced because you have to look at net present value, right? You have to look at a lot of different variables. You got to look at what happens when one spouse precedes the other. So if you're going to do proper Roth tax planning, you're going to have to look at the age of the spouses, the health of the spouses, who's going to die first, because the surviving spouse is going to go from married filing joint to a single tax filer. So that surviving spouse, their taxes, for many of you $1 to $10 million families, that surviving spouse will jump 2 tax brackets, and Medicare is going to go up four levels, from $185 a month, which I know was increased this year, to over $500. There are so many traps that you can plan around. The problem is, again, I want to focus on not being sold sizzle, but understanding what the true substance to produce the best outcomes are. And that's what we do in the class, Paul. That's why the classes are 8 hours. That's why it's master's level content. That's why it's taught at major universities and colleges. And that's why it's not on demand. If you want to stream the classes, you're going to have to register while we're teaching the classes live. You're going to have to engage. So if you're listening to us in a different state and there is no classes you're not in Missouri, Pennsylvania, or Michigan, where we have classes, you're going to have to stream and really be focused. It's hard. It's 8 hours of master's level content, but it's live. So you can interact. You can be in the class. You can ask questions just like you were there in person. Listen, we ask for a $29 donation to charity. We are a charity. That's how we survive. You'll get a 200-page textbook, and you have access to the charity's website. Just go to the charity's website now. Before you hire anybody or fall for any of these sales pitches, before you hire anyone to do anything or try to build your own retirement plan, just go look at our webinars on the charity's website. Look at our white papers. Look at a sample plan, what a real retirement sample plan looks like. These are the things we're going to teach you at the class. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll return. Plenty more straight ahead with Kirk and Paul. Stay tuned. Glad you're with us here on the Retirement Education Hour. Big show on taxes and retirement. This is far more complex than most people realize, and there's more at risk. Your dollars are actually at risk, and we're talking today to Kirk and Paul. Kirk Cassidy, Dr. Paul Metler. They're both financial instructors with the Retirement Education Foundation. These are the right people to be talking to about this situation because it really can have a detrimental impact on the quality of your retirement, and that's not what we want. We want you to have a fantastic retirement. You deserve it. You've worked hard for it. So we're discussing that with Kirk and Paul today, strategies to make sure that your money is as robust and your retirement is as robust as it possibly can be. So we're going to get back into that. I do want to pause here to make sure you have the website so you can get registered for the Retirement Education Foundation's courses on retirement planning, and they go really deep into this tax topic. So if you're interested in that, if you're worried about it, this is the course for you. And you can register at that website, retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. And you can look to attend at the following locations: the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University on that list, also the University of Missouri and Columbia College. If you'd rather attend from the comfort of your own home, you can do that as well. All these courses are streamed live. So register now, retirementplanningedu.org, or call 800-240-8981. Kirk and Paul, a lot of people are interested in extending the life of their money. Who's not, right? We want our money to last. Taxes can have a really big impact on how much we can do that. Let's talk about using taxes versus investing to extend the life of our money.
It's funny, Paul, this is one of my, and there's a lot, I guess, but I really do enjoy this part of the class a lot because people come in, they come to the class, usually they're $1 to $20 million investable assets. These are, your engineers, CPAs, your attorneys, your executives, small business owners, doctors. They're either highly educated or have been very successful professionally in their careers. And so there's a lot of confidence. And they're all coming in here thinking what they invest in is going to drive their performance, their income, and their results in retirement. And so, sure, investments are important. In something you learn in the class, it's really not specifically what you invest in, but where you take your income from when markets are up versus when markets are down. That will drive real returns instead of average returns. Whole different discussion. But one of my favorite parts of the class is early in the class, when we show conventional wisdom, the way most software today is defaulting, eMoney, Money Guide Pro, Right Capital, Retirement Analyzer, all the online 401k retirement calculators, the Schwabs, the Vanguards, they all use the same default rules in terms of the 4% withdrawal rate on a 60-40 portfolio and what order you take your income from when. What dollars do you spend first? You spend your taxable accounts first, your brokerage and your savings accounts. Then you spend your IRAs and 401ks, spend it till it's all gone. Then you spend your Roth, and it's non-deductible IRAs, and then it's non-qualified annuities. That is literally the default in all software today. And when I show them an example of someone retiring and they just need 4.5% a year to live on, withdrawal rates, 4.5% a year is what they need after taxes. That's what they need to live on. And we use an assumed growth rate of 5%, Paul. We use an assumed growth rate of 5% fixed, like a CD. It's For the rest of their life, they're going to get 5% on all their investment. And I show them if they take their withdrawals, like every software would tell them, in conventional wisdom, in the order of which general rules of thumbs are used today, they would run out of money at 88 years old. Then when I show them, let's just do the opposite of what they say. Let's just be rebellious and spend the money in a different order than what the default is for every rule of thumb software that exists. We show them they can get their money to last until 94 years old. I'm sorry, 93 years old. 6 years longer. No, 94 years old. I got to do the right math. 6 years longer. 6 years longer. We haven't changed the investment. It's still a 5% growth rate, and they got their money to last 6 years longer. Then we say, if you optimize, and this is what we'll teach you in the class, and unfortunately, this is what insurance salespeople on the radio try to convince you they're doing, and they're not. It's not a software that's going to give them this answer. When you really run hundreds of iterations and scenarios to pay the least amount of taxes over your lifetime, that example we show, the money will last until 101 years old, 13 years longer. They got their money to last 13 years longer, and it was only because of $390,000 of tax savings. That scenario, that person saved $390,000 in taxes. That's why their money lasted 13 years longer. The growth rate was the same for all of them. 5% growth rates taking a 4.5% withdrawal rate after taxes. Same 5% growth rate, but by optimizing when you took Social Security, when you took income, when you had dividends and capital gains, you recognized the capital gains. When you Roth converted, when you took your RMDs, when you took money out of IRAs, when you coordinated that, running hundreds of iterations, 13 years longer before they ran out of money.
So that's a lot. That's a lot.
I know it's a lot.
No, it's a lot. No, it's a lot. I'm going to try to summarize what you just said, which is basically same investments, right?
Yep.
Same withdrawal amounts.
Yep.
But picking where you take the money from at different places resulted in money lasting many, many more years, right? So the bottom line is, if you really want your money to last longer, it's less about where you invest the money and more about how you draw it and where you draw it from. And that is not something a software can tell you.
And they can't yet. There's too much. You pull one lever in the tax code, 4, 5 different things are going to move. Like if you're in a 12% tax bracket, you do not pay tax on long-term capital gains and dividends. Therefore, a smaller percentage of your Social Security is taxable. You all think that Social Security is an online calculator. It's not. Social Security is a tax problem. It's a surviving spouse problem. Yes, it is longevity, but not longevity of the high income earner. It is a much more nuanced, and that's the problem. I'm very afraid that people oversimplify this. They sell sizzle and no real substance. And that's the purpose of the class, is to give you the filter to identify and find the right teams to help you. That's why the charities exist, so you don't get taken advantage of. Remember, the less you spend, the more they make in our industry. So we're going to teach you how to spend more, save more money in taxes, retire sooner, and have less fear. So you better understand risk mitigation. So attend one of the 8-hour classes. This is master level content taught at major universities and colleges in your area. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll return. There's plenty more straight ahead on the program. You're listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Happy you're with us here on the show. This is the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak alongside financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. Kirk and Paul, they are with the Retirement Education Foundation. Of course, the foundation responsible for this show each and every week, but also for the courses we've been telling you about. These are like master's level courses on retirement planning. And we'd love to see you there in class, learning more about this next phase of life, making sure you're set up and confident to enter retirement. And you can do that at major colleges and universities. That's where these courses are held. And the list of locations include in the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, University of Missouri, Columbia College. So go to that website now. You can find a date, a location that works great for your schedule, and you can get registered. Spots do fill up quickly. So head there now. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanning.edu.org, or you can call to register 800-240-8981. I want to get back to our show today on taxes and retirement. This show, you can download it as a podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and you can look through our library, find any other topics from previous shows that you'd love to listen to or share with a friend. Okay, let's talk about taxes and charity, because I know these two go hand in hand, and there are some impacts there to our charitable giving. Tell us about that, Kirk and Paul.
So, at first, I do want to comment on the last segment. There was a lot of numbers. I don't know that I most effectively communicated it, but it is an example. Look, we've got essentially 6 to 8 minutes try to explain very complicated, especially when it comes to taxes and strategies around retirement planning. And I hope our listeners understand what we're attempting to do as a charity, right? We are a national charity. We've been around for, I think, almost 15 years now. We've taught tens of thousands of people in major universities and colleges these 8-hour, what is almost master's level courses, often referred to as master's level content. The purpose of our radio show, really at its core, we're trying to educate the community, but to truly properly educate people around retirement, we need people to attend the 8-hour class. So if it's not clear to you by listening to us, we are pushing you to this 8-hour course. And the reason why we're pushing you to this 8-hour course, guys, is you've spent 40 years to accumulate the wealth you have, 90,000 hours. Now you're going to retire at some point. And hopefully after you come to this class, what our data shows is you will retire sooner because many of you already have what you need to give you the retirement you want. You just don't know it. You're following the general 4% rule. You're following the industry's norms, and you $1 to $20 million families can spend a lot more. You don't have to follow the same rules. There are specific strategies that you can utilize to optimize your retirement outcomes. And so our goal is to get you to attend one of these 8-hour classes. And so we do the best job we can to give you little nuggets of things we've taught and we teach in the class. It's really hard to do. And I know the segment wasn't great, but Paul, this is another one of those segments where that $1 to $20 million family has incredible opportunities around charitable deduction, charitable giving, and knowing how and when to itemize to pay the least amount of taxes over their lifetime. It's not this year. I'm not worried about what your taxes are going to be this year, next year, 3 years. It's the next 30 years. What's going to happen if one of the spouses dies early? What happens to the surviving spouse? And then what if you have a long life when that spouse dies? What happens? And then if it's important to you, what happens for your children? The charity is going to teach you how to identify the right teams, like a filter, to filter out the BS, the insurance salespeople, to filter those people out and to be able to identify the right teams to help you. That's all we're here to do, is teach you and educate you. And charitable planning, Paul, like qualified charitable distributions, donor advised funds, when and how to utilize these strategies to offset highly appreciated capital gains, highly appreciated stock, rental properties, so you don't have to recapture depreciation, charitable trusts. These are strategies for that $1 to $10 million family that should be used regularly. And often there's a lot of people that would like to give to charity. They're once they realize they have the amount, what they need to give them what they want, they're more willing to give to charity. And if they just can be strategic about, and they don't have to give a lot, they can really minimize their taxes.
Yeah, I mean, this is an area that charities really have felt, right, over the last several years since standard deductions increased significantly, right? All of a sudden, people who want to be charitable, who love being charitable because they're giving, started thinking, wow, I'm not getting any tax benefits by being charitable because I already have a high enough standard deduction. I'm not itemized anymore. So all of a sudden, people weren't giving as much, right? Or weren't seeing a benefit. That's not true, right? You can still be very charitable and still get tax benefit. I know that many people aren't doing it because they want the taxes, but it's nice to get, right? And there are ways to do it where you realize huge tax savings and you could continue being charitable, and you throw out a bunch of them. You talked about, whether it's a donor advised fund or charitable trust or qualified charitable distributions, at 7.5 years old. There are a variety of strategies that allow you to be very charitable and also get a tax benefit. And also, we talked about Roth converting earlier, right?
Yeah.
There's a way to actually combine all of it, right?
we do.
If we time it right, it can be very powerful, right?
Yeah, Paul, that's why people need to go to the Cherry's website and just spend 40 minutes on a webinar called the Sample Plan, where I think we utilize some basic strategies. We use a donor advised fund. We use a qualified charitable distribution, QCDs. We're using Roth conversions. We have someone with highly appreciated investments that we're not having to pay capital gains on. Look, those of you who have...
Say that again, though. How do they find it?
Go to retirementplanningedu.org and go to the Charity's website. Look, there's people listening right now that have highly appreciated investments. And then they're not going to spend because they don't want to pay tax on it. And guess what? If you use charitable strategies timely and effectively, you don't have to pay taxes on it. There's a lot highly appreciated stocks. You can use donor advised funds to offset. Just donate a little to offset the many. And this is what we'll teach in the class, the hows, the whens. A lot of people have heard of a QCD, qualified charitable distribution. A lot of you have heard of a donor advised fund, charitable trust, but not one of you listening today would know how to deploy it, when to deploy it, and how to optimally deploy it in your retirement plans. That's what we're going to teach you in the class, so that when someone is pitching or trying to sell these strategies to you, are they optimizing? Or are they they don't know much? They know you'll be interested. Everyone wants to save in taxes. They throw these buzzwords out and then they hack it. So attend one of our 8-hour master's level courses taught at major universities. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll be back right after this. And we're back. So glad you've chosen to spend some time with us here on the Retirement Education Hour as we've been talking about tax impacts in retirement. This is an area that gets overlooked quite a bit. It could be your biggest expense in retirement, but it doesn't have to be. That's where Kirk and Paul come in. And boy, Kirk Cassidy, Dr. Paul Metler, they've been really helping us on this topic, helping us understand what our options are, because the whole goal is to extend the life of your money in retirement. And so we want to talk about that today. We'll continue that discussion. This is a topic that comes up a lot also in the courses that we've been telling you about that are put on by the Retirement Education Foundation. And the goal here with the foundation and these courses is to help you walk away empowered, feeling confident as you go into this next phase of life. You should be excited about it. You've worked hard toward retirement and it's time to enjoy it. And you can do that once you are educated on all things retirement planning. Modern retirements sure are different than they used to be. So I want to start by giving you what you need to get registered. We do see spots fill up very quickly for these courses. So head over to the website now if you'd like to attend retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. If you'd like to call to register, that is an option. Simply dial 800-240-8981. That's 800-240-8981. The courses are taught at major colleges and universities in your community, including the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, both campuses, Novi and Troy, Oakland University, also the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. Again, register at retirementplanningedu.org. Kirk and Paul, how do we future-proof our retirement against taxes?
So there's this thing, Megan, and I give homework in the class that I think is really helpful to give people an idea of what their tax bill is going to look like in their mid-70s and late 70s. And I'm going to give that here in a minute. I think it'll shock a lot of people. But I want to quote Donald Rumsfeld. Some people might remember the Donald Rumsfeld quote when he said there's the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. So the known unknown is the market. The markets, we don't know. We have no control over the markets. Stick around for the next segment. I'm going to tell you why you don't need to be afraid. You are going to experience 8 major market events. We'll tell you it's not a big deal. You just have to have the right accounts to pivot to during those market downturns. We'll talk about that next segment. That is the unknown unknowns, the markets. The known knowns, Paul, is taxes. Taxes are going to go up. We know it, and you're going to pay them, and you owe the government a lot of it because your Social Security is going to be taxable. You can count on that if you're a $1 to $10 million family because your IRAs and 401ks have never been taxed. So we know that's the known known. The unknown is the market. Is everyone good with that? And then there's the healthcare, which the known unknowns. That's healthcare, which we talk about in the class. We're going to avoid that one today, the healthcare risk. But let's talk about taxes. In taxes, the known unknown is, the known known, right? Sorry, the known known is that taxes are going to go up and you're going to be forced to take RMDs. And many of you, $1 to $10 million families, $1 to $20 million families will avoid taking money out of your IRAs and 401ks until you have to. So the exercise I'd have you all do is I would take what is the value of all of your retirement accounts right now, your 401ks, 403bs, your IRAs, 457s, all of them. What is it worth today? Right now, let's say you're 60 years old, it's worth $1 million right now. Now I want you to project until the age of 75 years old what the value of that $1 million will be, assuming you don't touch it, I would use a conservative 4% growth rate. Now, for anyone that's still working, don't forget you're probably contributing every year to that retirement account, and your employers are likely matching what you're going to want to do until you retire. So make sure you add that to your calculation. Your goal is to calculate what the value of your retirement accounts will be at 75 years old when you know you have to take required minimum distributions. What are they going to be? And then in the class, we teach you how to calculate your RMDs. And then in our class, we teach you what your marginal tax bracket is going to be. And then in the class, we teach you what your effective tax rate is going to be. And then in the class, we teach you how to calculate the taxable portion of your Social Security through provisional income. So now you can project forward looking at what your tax bill will likely look like in your late 70s and early 80s to help you make better decisions on what you should be doing today. It also will help. And by the way, if you go through that exercise, when you sit down with an advisor or broker and they've done their plan for you, and when you ask them what will that look like, they won't have the answer. They won't have the answer. So everything should be driven by if someone should do an analysis of you doing no Roth converting, no planning, using conventional wisdom. What will your lifetime tax bill be? And then they have to iterate going backwards, trying every possible scenario of taking Social Security at 62, 63, 64, 65, 67, 68, 69, 70, Roth converting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 every single year. Then deciding, do I Roth convert the wife's IRAs or the husband's IRA or what combination? So you see, it's not some simple, I can do hundreds of these analysis because I'm on the radio every week and I'm going to let the next 10 callers I'm going to do this analysis for. It's not possible. It takes 50 to 70 hours to run that analysis. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, no, what I was just going to say is when you go through that exercise, you listeners go through that exercise, whatever number you come up with, I think it's fair to say, and this goes back to the knowns and unknowns and all of what you're saying, which I got a little lost, but I get it.
Donald Rumsfeld.
I know, I get it. Here's the one thing you can count on. Whatever that number is, it will be worse because the one thing we can count on is down the road, taxes have to go up. So whatever amount you figure out, the unknown part of it is that we don't really, it's only going to be worse. You just don't know how worse it's going to be.
That's perfect.
That's the unknown. And that's why not do something now to get some control over that and prevent that in the future?
100%. There's no question, Paul. It's super interesting. I'll just do simple math. I mean, if you want to I told you use a 4% growth rate. Over the last 30 years, if you just bought the index, it's performing at over 10%. So use 7%. Your $1 million will be $4 million at 80 years old. $4 million at 80 years old, assuming you're not making contributions, your $1 million. Just do the math. Now take RMDs off of $4 million. You won't like the number. And your forced pensions, because you took your pension and say your lump sum, and your Social Security, you won't like your tax bill. This can be fixed, but you have to find the right teams to fix it. Attend one of our 8-hour master level courses. They're taught at, I did it again, master's level content. Courses taught at major universities and colleges in your area. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll be back right after this. This is the Retirement Education Hour. So glad you're with us. Megan Mozak in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. When you sign up for the Retirement Education Foundation's courses on retirement planning, there is a really good chance they will be taught by one of these gentlemen. And it's a great opportunity to meet them, get to know them, find out their philosophy on how to plan for a successful retirement. And of course, the foundation has a lot of great instructors. And we bring you some of those insights on this show each and every week. We dive into specific areas. Today, it's all about taxes. That's a big topic, and that comes up at these courses. Remember, you can get registered at the website retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org, or call to register 800-240-8981. And you can attend at the following locations: the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. So don't delay. We do see these courses fill up fast. Reserve your spot now at retirementplanningedu.org. Taxes in retirement, it really comes down to one thing. Big topic, but we can mitigate this with what?
So one of the things that the charity does, we're a national charity, right? Almost 15 years. The charity does a lot of different things other than doing what we call financial literacy for adults. And these classes that we teach at major universities, master level content, this is really advanced financial literacy. But we also do more beginner financial literacy for lower income communities and high schools. We've partnered with the state of Michigan through programs. We've partnered with different universities to go into these communities to teach. The charity is amazing. But one of the responsibilities of the charity is to listen to the content that other financial advisors on radio and TV and through the media are promoting and pushing. They're marketing so that we can give you the tools to not get taken advantage of. That's one of the things we're constantly listening for and consuming to make sure that we can send you the right message to avoid being taken advantage of. What is the new thing that they're doing? And one of the strategies that's been around forever, it's been very effective, is to create fear. I've never listened to someone on a financial radio show, TV show, to not tell you that the markets are volatile, in this uncertainty, all this nonsense and fear. They're going to take your Social Security away. Anything to create fear to help them sell you annuities is their goal. They help you sell annuities and help you sell the idea that you shouldn't spend as much because you're going to need long-term care and you can't afford it. And that's potential. You will need long-term care. So don't spend as much money so you can have a lot of money at the end of your life, just in case you have a long-term. They're all selling you fear. And one of the things that charity has no fear of is market conditions. None at all. We have no fear, and neither should you. A properly constructed retirement plan already knows and expects that you're going to have 6 to 8 major market events through your 30-year retirement. It always is that way. Look at history. It's not if, it's going to happen. And why do you have to be defensive being afraid? If you know something's going to happen, but you don't know when it's going to happen, can't you construct a plan, Paul, with what we call pivot accounts and different non-correlated accounts that you could go to when the market's down? So you never, ever sell or take money out of a portfolio when the market's down. By the way, that's called sequence of returns risk. That is the number one risk to your retirement plan. The number one, and we spend a lot of time. If you manage sequence of returns risk, you can take out 6, 7, 8, maybe 9% per year to live on, and you'll never outlive your income. You'll never outlive your income because instead of the 4% rule, because you aren't locking in any losses. You know that you can have 6 to 8. So as long as someone really risk mitigates your retirement plan against long-term care, against 6 to 8 major market events, against one spouse dying early, if someone is spending 50 to 70 hours stress testing all these different scenarios, running all these iterations to optimize your income, to risk mitigate, to pay as little as taxes as possible, then you can spend 7, 8, 9%. You can retire early. You don't have to be afraid. Stop buying fear. Fear equals don't spend as much money. That work longer. Take your Social Security earlier and let your money grow. Some stupid nonsense. It's self-motivating. Even fiduciaries in our industry are so conflicted across the board. They're conflicted because the less you spend, the more they make. There is no incentive to teach you to spend more. There's no incentive to mitigate the risk. There's no incentive that really, truly minimize your taxes. There's no incentive to really optimize when you should take Social Security, because the less you spend, the more afraid you are. It's better for them. You have to find freedom after working 40 years in your life, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about, and it's all about taking back your retirement by taking control of the unknown, right? It's really what this
Yes.
is about, right? I mean, there are things we can't control, but at the end of the day, there are things that you can do to gain control over those things, right? And that's exactly what you talk about. And anticipating the bad things that could happen in the future and coming up with strategies now before that happens. So when and if they happen, you have control over them. It's all about how do you gain control over the things in the future that could happen that could hurt you, right? And there are a lot of things you can do now, and but it's not something. Here's the thing: if you think you can do it, if you think you're gonna do it on your own, I think you're misinformed. This is not something that you're gonna be able to do on your own. But what you can do is you can, number one, learn and figure out what are the things you should be looking for from that team. Because if you know what you're looking for, and when you are interviewing them, you'll know when you found the right team. And I think that's part of what the course is all about, helping people pick that right team.
100%. Exactly. I mean, look, no one could stock pick or market time their way around major market events, and you're going to have 6 to 8 of them. So if you can't stock pick and market time, look, no one's ever done it. That's a fallacy. Don't fall for that, especially yourselves. If you're doing it, you're not going to. But if we know we're going to have 6 to 8 major market events, and we know a tax bill is going to go up, and we can project out what your tax liabilities will be over your lifetime, and we can iterate to find the most tax efficient path. Like, you can build plans around this, but someone has to be willing to invest 50 to 70 hours into you so that you can spend more and they can make less. That's not easy. And this is why you have to attend one of these 8-hour courses with master level content that's taught at major universities and colleges in your area. If you would like to attend, we ask for a $29 donation to charity. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Retirement Education Foundation is a fiscally sponsored program of United Charitable, a registered 501c3 public charity. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Retirement Education Foundation is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Retirement Education Foundation is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Retirement Education Foundation. This radio show is paid for by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.